It brings me no joy to say this, but given the president's shocking announcement that the Supreme Court is comprised by foreign interests, or compromised by foreign interests, the next president will have no choice but to replace all 9 members with new justices who have no foreign entanglement. You should just do it.
True.
Unironically, just do that. Kind of a big one. Oh boy.
The Supreme Court's ruling on tariffs is deeply disappointing, and I'm ashamed of certain members of the court, absolutely ashamed, for not having the courage to do what's right for.
Was this a 5-4? Wait, who would the 5-4 be? Fuck, I haven't done Supreme Court stuff in so long. Kagan, Sotomayor, and Jackson? Are there 3 liberals? 6-3. Ooh. So Alito and Thomas are brain broken. We know they're retarded. Oh, fuck. Who are the other one who joins? I don't remember all these fucking people. Oh my God. It's been so long since we've done any Supreme Court stuff. My boy Kavanaugh. Who's the Supreme Justice? Why can I not remember his name? Oh my God. My brain is falling out of my head. It's been too long. Kagan, Jackson, Sotomayor, Kavanaugh, Alito, Thomas, Amy, Barrett. I should call her Barrett. Supreme Court Justice. Fuck me, whatever. I don't remember the names. Jesus. Who are the two I'm missing? Oh, Roberts. Fuck. And Gorsuch. Who joined Thomas and Alito? Because I know it was those fucking weirdos. Kavanaugh? Who wrote the one defense of who wrote the concurring opinion in the one that overturned the 2-step rule, the Chevron 2-step? Who wrote that concurring opinion? That was Gorsuch, right? Okay. Kavanaugh joined. Was it Thomas and Alito? I imagine it must have been, right? Yep, and Kavanaugh. Ooh. 170-page opinion. Ooh, this is a big one, too, because I feel like there's no way we're going to read this, but it sucks because I don't trust anybody else to give me a digest. This is a big one because one of the places where the president is operating at his peak power, some might even say plenary, his peak power is stuff relating to the defense of the country as commander-in-chief. And this tariff thing has to do with, like, it's authorized via what's this right here? The International Emergency Economic Powers Act, which is arguably like national security related. So this is like where the president is supposed to be at his most untouchable. So the idea that the court checked him on this, and not a 5-4, but a 6-3 even. I thought this would be like Roberts and Barrett would join the 3 Dems, but even Gorsuch. How is this national security related? Because this international emergency economic powers is supposed to be authorized whenever there's like, I believe, whenever there's like a national emergency. Yeah, it says it here. Influx of illegal drugs from Canada, Mexico, and China. By making this proclamation, it gives him the authority to invoke this act, which gives him broad powers to do things like tariffs. Now, if we think about this if we think about this in its best faith, it makes sense, right? That you would want the president to invoke some emergency thing while you're still waiting for Congress to act with regards to other things. So, for instance, let's say like Mexico invades us tomorrow, like they're invading us, or today, and Mexico's invading us. maybe we would want the president to be able to say, hey, we're going to invoke the Alien Enemies Act to do hardcore like policing of people coming from Mexico to this country. And we're going to do the International Emergency Economic Powers Act because we're going to say we're tariffing everything coming from Mexico at 10,000%. You're not buying things from Mexico anymore. Okay. We're literally at war with this country. And there's like tons of national security reasons why we might want the president to be able to act immediately on this. Now, I believe that this act is supposed to be checked every 90 days for congressional approval. But unless something got changed, the Republicans basically threw that away in the One Big Beautiful Bill or in some other act they passed where they're like, we're just going to say that 1 day is infinite days and we're not going to actually ever check the president on this. They just gave away their ability to do that, yeah. In theory, wouldn't Congress be able to act quickly? No, Congress definitionally doesn't act quickly. The president should be able to act quickly, though, yeah. Just read the opinion and the Kavanaugh dissent. Everything else is just different justices sniping at each other. Well, maybe that's good. Oh, Justice Roberts announced the judgment of the court and delivered the opinion of the court, except as to parts 2A2 and 3. Does this mean that... Okay, so Sotomayor, Kagan, and Jackson join only parts 1, 2A1, and 2B. Oh, and then I'm guessing, is part 2A, 2, and 3, is that written by somebody else? Or is this just... he's just announcing the opinion of the court, and then these are the 3 parts that other people dissented on? Oh, yeah, that makes sense, right? Yeah, okay. So we have, and Big Dog Roberts himself wrote this one, okay. So the opinion of the court is not that long, actually. Ooh, okay. Ooh, we got a lot of extracurriculars here. Okay. Wait, hold on. What is this, like 15 pages? His opinion starts on page, the court's opinion is on page 7. And the opinion of the court is finished by 27. So it's a 20-page opinion. We have Gorsuch concurring from 28 to... Okay, from 28 to 73. So like 35-page concurrence. Ooh. For those who think it is important for the nation to impose more tariffs, I understand that today's decision will be disappointing. All I can offer them is that most major decisions affecting the rights and responsibilities of the American people, including the duty to pay taxes and tariffs, are funneled through the legislative process for a reason. Yes, legislating can be hard and take time, and yes, it can be tempting to bypass Congress when some pressing problem arises, but the deliberative nature of the legislative process was the whole point of its design. I liked Gorsuch's writing a lot on the, is it Looper? What was the one that overturned Chevron? Maybe I'll read his concurrence at least. And then we've got Barrett here, who is... Oh, it's a very short concurrence. We've got Kagan, who is writing a very short concurrence. Okay, it was either somebody who had the wrong door and walked away or somebody checking if I was here or not. Hey, I didn't see much live commentary on the Mockler-Hassan debate. Were you just uninterested? I mean, there's not much to say. Hassan just yaps and says so much nothing for so long. It's so boring. Trump is probably getting ready for a limited military incursion into Iran. Thoughts about how it affects the midterms? I mean, I'd probably imagine negatively or neutrally. I don't know. Anyone else think Mockler cooked out hard on the Hassan debate? Well, it's the challenge is that so Hassan basically deflated him after, because Mockler was doing decently, and then Hassan hit him up with the, it seems like you're trying to debate me, bro, which I think paralyzed him a little bit, which was unfortunate, but...
Our country. I'd like to thank and congratulate Justices Thomas, Alito, and Kavanaugh for their strength and wisdom and love of our country, which is right now very proud of Alito and Kavanaugh. I'd like to thank and congratulate Justices Thomas, Alito, and Kavanaugh.
It's just so perverted. It's just so fucking perverted to listen to this guy openly celebrating and congratulating the justices that do him well. Oh my God, it's so fucking disgusting.
For their strength and wisdom and love of our country, which is right now very proud of those justices. When you read the dissenting opinions, there's no way that anyone can argue.
He has not read them, and even if he did, he wouldn't understand them. And I don't even know if you could explain that to him because he's a fucking demon.
Against them.
And a retard.
There's no way. Foreign countries that have been ripping us off for years are ecstatic. They're so happy. And they're dancing in the streets, but they won't be dancing for long. That I can assure you. The Democrats on the court are thrilled, but they will automatically vote no. They're an automatic no, just like in Congress. They're an automatic no. They're against anything that makes America strong, healthy, and great again. They also are a, frankly, disgrace to our nation, those justices. They're an automatic no, no matter how good a case you have. It's a no. But you can't knock their loyalty. It's one thing you can do with some of our people. Others think they're being politically correct, which has happened before far too often with certain members of this court, and it's happened so often with this court. What a shame. Having to do with voting in particular, when in fact they're just being fools and lapdogs for the rhinos and the radical left Democrats, and not that this should have anything at all to do with it. They're very unpatriotic and disloyal to our Constitution. It's my opinion that the court has been swayed by foreign interests and a political movement that is far smaller than people would ever think. It's a small movement. I won by millions of votes. We won in a landslide.
Even more if you get rid of the illegal votes.
That went on, there was a lot
there
of it.
It is.
We
yeah,
still
there
won
you
in
go.
a landslide. Too big to rig. But these people are obnoxious, ignorant, and loud. They're very loud. And I think certain justices are afraid of that.
Oh, my God.
They don't want to do the right thing. They're afraid of it. This was an important case to me, more as a symbol of economic national security, and also, I would say, just for our country itself, so important, because we're doing so well as a country. We've never done so well. The good news is that there are methods, practices, statutes, and authorities as recognized by the entire court in this terrible decision, and also as recognized by Congress, which they refer to, that are even stronger than the IEEPA tariffs available to me as President of the United States. And in actuality, I was entire court in this, and authorities as recognized by the entire court in this terrible decision, and also as recognized by Congress, which they refer to, that are even stronger than the IEEPA tariffs available to me as President of the United States. And in actuality, I was very modest in my ask of other countries and businesses because I wanted to do, and it's very important, I wanted to be very well behaved because I wanted to do anything, I didn't want to do anything that would affect the decision of the court, because I understand the court. I understand how they are very easily swayed. I want to be a good boy. I have very effectively utilized tariffs over the past year to make America great again. Our stock market has just recently broken 50,000 on the Dow, and simultaneously, and even more amazingly, broken 7,000 on the S&P, two numbers that everybody thought upon our landslide election victory could not be attained. Think of that. Nobody thought it was possible to do it within 4 years, and we did it in 1 year.
Wait, what is he? The S&P 500 is not over 7,000. Did he mean approaching 7,000 or what?
S&P, two numbers that everybody thought of. Broken 7,000 on the S&P, two numbers.
Oh,
broken
poking.
70. Broken 7,000
broke-
on the S&P, two numbers that everybody thought upon.
I don't know what the fuck he's saying.
On our
Or is there a different? Are there more S&P indexes besides the S&P 500? Has it gone over 7,000? Ever? Oh, wait. Ooh, wait. Ooh, wait. Ooh, no, okay. It peaked at 7,002. Oh, like during the trading day, maybe it did?
landslide election victory could not be attained. Think of that. Nobody thought it was possible to do it within 4 years, and we did it in 1 year. They said you'll never be able. You'll go back and you read the geniuses, read their statements, all of the Nobel Prize winners in economics. They said, no, you couldn't do it in 4 years. Well, we didn't do it in 4 years. We did it in 1 year. We broke every.
I don't understand what he's saying. It was impossible. On January 2nd, the market was at, for the S&P 500 index, it was at 6,858. Today it opened at 6,901. What? We could never do this? Is this impossible? What?
You're expecting him not to lie?
It's barely moved. It hasn't even moved a full point. He's just saying BS that he thinks. Yeah, I know. It's just funny. He would have been elected in November. Maybe you could try to take credit from November onwards or something. I don't know. Fuck. When was the election? November 6th, right?
He gets all of Biden's presidency, too, because that was his great economy. Unless it was bad, then.
Yeah, true. Why does he take credit? He doesn't take credit for inflation, but he takes credit for the markets. You're looking at the wrong year? No, I'm looking at the 1 year. From here. He was elected. Oh, no, wait. I'm sorry. Fuck. I keep forgetting. Oh, fuck. Oh, God. I was like, he's been president for 3 months, but he hasn't. It's been a year and 3 months. Jesus. Sorry. I forget everything I just said. I'm retarded. Okay. Time is an illusion. Okay. November. We say he came in January 20th is your start day, right? Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
So we're up 15%. 15% since then. I mean, it's decent.
You can see the tariff day.
About 10% a year. Well, it should be. No, I think it's around 10% per year. Historic. That's pre-inflation, right? Except the USD is down 12%. I don't actually know what that means, so I don't repeat that much. But that might be true. I don't know. It's worse than most foreign stock indices. How much is VT up from January 20th, 2024, 2025? Right? Right. Oh. Okay. I don't know what other big indexes there are for world stuff.
Numbers go up.
True.
Record in the book, and we're continuing to do so. Tariffs have likewise been used to end
Wait, VT is 61% US, so if you want to isolate international, get VXUS. Vanguard Total International Stock Index Fund. 5 years. January 2025. Sorry, fuck. January. Damn. What markets are exploding so much? Damn. Okay, wait. Well, that makes our growth look very bad. So in the time period where our markets have increased 15 points, an international index fund here has grown 36. Holy shit. It's the week. Is this where you would see the currency trade-off here? God damn. Can we look at USD to euro? Okay. Oh.
Yeah, but Trump wants a weak dollar for some retarded reason, I think.
Weak currency helps your exports markets and hurts your imports markets. Like, imagine if I have a really strong dollar, I can go to other countries and I can buy shit easy. But if I want to sell them stuff, the USD is so strong it's harder for them to buy it. But if I have a very weak currency and something is $5 here, right? Somebody might come to my country and go, oh, your currency's weak. I can buy your shit for less of my currency. Does that make sense?
But isn't a weak dollar bad for American citizens?
Well, it's bad for imports. It's good for exports. I don't know. I mean, like, there's all of it is like a balancing act. Like, obviously, you don't want your currency to be so weak that it becomes prohibitively expensive to buy like economy inputs and everything, because even for stuff that's made domestically, they buy stuff from other places. But you don't want your...
So why would like why is the UK so strong on their pound? Why would they want that? Are they just retarded, or
I don't know I don't know what determines like what one currency is. Like, what does $1 mean? Like, why is it 100 yen, or why couldn't $1 just be $2? I don't know what initially determines that. Yeah, I just don't know the answer to that. USD to Great British Pound. Damn, bro.
the USD has to import everything? They're a tiny island country. Got it. So because they're importing, they want a really strong dollar so they can import more shit. Versus if you're like China and you're like exporting a bunch of shit, you want it to be weak?
Yeah, like China, I don't understand 100% how currency valuations work. It's a little bit beyond me. Or I just haven't looked into it. But like, I believe the claim has always been made. I don't think it's denied that like China will literally artificially peg the, is it the
Like
yuan
the
or the yen? Yuan?
Or
Yuan?
the yen is the Japanese one.
Well, I think multiple countries call it yen, but they call it something different, or something maybe. I feel like I'm mis- But my understanding is that China will literally artificially peg their currency to the USD so that it doesn't really ever change that much. Like if I go back
What does that mean to artificially peg it?
as in, I thought I always heard 8-1. I don't know, but like basically 8 yuan will always trade for 1 USD.
One
so
USD.
if the USD gets stronger or weaker, then they will make the yuan stronger or weaker so that they always have that advantage. Funnily enough, I think, I'm trading on very low confidence territory here, okay, for my macro econ people that are going to trade. But I think that if you wanted to fight with China about the fairness of our imports or exports markets, one thing that I've heard a long time ago, I heard economists complain about was the artificial valuation or devaluation of the Chinese yuan to always peg it to the USD, and that type of currency manipulation should be something that we fight against. But I don't think Trump even understands any of that. So he just wants to tariff or whatever. But like this would be like a legitimate area where it's like, hold on, you need to value your currency honestly. You can't change it so that you always have a preferential advantage over our domestic markets or whatever. But but this would require like a real economic person with real economic policy to do real.
But who decides the value of a currency? Isn't that just people wanting to?
No. So this is where, and again, I'm not going to explain this exactly, but your central bank can determine a lot of how your currency works. Like it can increase or decrease. So like when the Federal Reserve does, like I think like quantitative easing, or when the Federal Reserve lowers interest rates or makes money more available, so there's more money in the economy or whatever, this increases the amount of currency. It can decrease the supply, increase the supply, decrease demand, so changes the valuation of said currency. This is one of the reasons why when I argue with people a lot who are like, we need to abolish the Fed, like countries enjoy having control over their currency because it helps them weather times of economic boon or economic, what's the opposite of a boon? A good thing versus, bad, sure, yeah. This is one of the legitimate complaints I've heard against like the European Union is that because the economies in the European Union can be quite different, that an economic policy or a central bank that's regulating, I should say more specifically the Eurozone, that means you're using the euro, but an economic policy that might benefit, or hold on, sorry, let me restate that. A monetary policy, because economic policy would refer to like legislating or regulating whatever your imports, outputs, your production, whatever else, but your monetary policy, so specific to your currency, that might be favorable to one nation in the European Union might not be favorable to another nation. And if you join the Eurozone, you're giving up all control of being able to regulate your currency, which every major country, as far as I'm aware, has decided is very important to have like a central bank that does monetary control. It's very beneficial for your economy.
Yeah, it makes sense. So somewhere like Germany, they might not want to like have the same fucking value of their euro as Portugal.
Kind of, yeah, but it's generally more the other way around. People will say that the larger European member states have a disproportionate influence on the currency, and it would be the smaller states. So, like Portugal would say, "Fuck you, Germany." Like, I don't want to. Like, yeah, you guys want to export a lot, but we might want to import something, or our economies are mismatched in terms of what you're trying to do with the euro. But yeah.
Yeah.
But there are arguments on both sides of that as well. Obviously, it's beneficial trading in a single currency. I'm sure you've noticed it's nice to travel around Europe and just have euros, although today we just use credit cards. In the U.S., we take it for granted. It's nice to just travel around the U.S. and use dollars. I don't have like Nebraska dollars and Florida dollars and shit like that. So
It's also probably nice for some of these countries, right? Because like then you don't have to worry about your currency being fucking kaput worth nothing.
kind of, yeah. I mean, assuming unless like your shit is actually getting fucked, in which case, like if your economy is getting fucked, there is no, I mean, just currency manipulation is going to help you, but yeah. Okay.
5 of the 8 wars that I settled 8 wars, whether you like it or not, including India, Pakistan, big ones, nuclear, could have been nuclear. Prime Minister of Pakistan said yesterday at the great meeting that we had, the Peace Board, he said yesterday that President Trump could have saved 35 million lives by getting us to stop fighting. They were getting ready to do some bad things. But they've given us great national security, these tariffs have. And together with our strong borders, reduced fentanyl coming into our country by 30%. When I use them as a penalty against countries illegally sending this poison into our country to poison our youth. All of those tariffs remain. They all remain. I don't know if you know that or not. They all remain. We're still getting them. And we will after the decision. I guess there's nobody left to appeal to. But again, those 3 people
Will all remain. Wait, which who?
this poison, us great national security, these tariffs have. And together with our strong borders, reduced fentanyl coming into our country by 30%. When I use them as a penalty against countries illegally sending this poison into our country to poison our youth. All of those tariffs remain. They all remain. I don't know if you know that or not.
Like they're going to remain even if the Supreme Court reverses its ruling? Is he signaling here he's not going to follow the ruling, or that the Supreme Court didn't say he had to take them off, or what? I don't know what the...
He later on signals that they're just going to do it in a different way. So, no
Gotcha.
matter. He's chud logic, or he's chudding.
Oh, why don't you tell me to switch screens, you fucking piece of shit?
I'm just watching your stream.
Oh, you're not watching on Discord? So this shit
Well,
that I went through all this
I'm
fucking
listening on
effort...
Discord, but
Oh,
I didn't want to
Oh my fucking
fuck
God.
up your
Don't worry,
stream.
I got it,
by being
I
like,
got it,
"Can
I got
you swap
it.
the screen?"
I got it. To stop the war between Azerbaijan and Albania. Okay. Fuck. I was just gonna say something too, and now I forgot. Fuck you. I hate it. Oh. I was gonna say we could just read the syllabus, I guess, real fast. Because this is only maybe 5 or 10 pages. I don't know. Okay, we'll read this real fast. Okay. Syllabus is written by associates, or what do you call them, clerks, or somebody. It's not written by any of the justices, I don't believe, but it's like a summary of the holding of the case, basically. The question presented is whether the International Emergency Economic Powers Act authorizes the president to impose tariffs. Shortly after taking office, President Trump sought to address 2 foreign threats: the influx of illegal drugs from Canada, Mexico, and China. Oh, I'm sorry. I might have misquoted this before. The IEPA might not even allow Trump to do tariffs. It might just say the president can block imports and exports from other countries, and maybe he interpreted that as well. If I can block them, surely I can tariff them or something, which is crazy. But, okay. Jeez. All right. Let's see. The president determined that the drug influx had created a public health crisis and that the trade deficits had led to the hollowing out of the American manufacturing base and undermined critical supply chains. The president declared a national emergency as to both threats, deeming them unusual and extraordinary, and invoked his authority under IEPA to respond. He imposed tariffs to deal with each threat. As to the drug trafficking tariffs, the president imposed a 25% duty on most Canadian and Mexican imports and a 10% duty on most Chinese imports. As to the trade deficit tariffs, the reciprocal tariffs, the president imposed a duty on all imports from all trading partners of at least 10%, with dozens of nations facing higher rates. Since imposing each set of tariffs, the president has issued several increases, reductions, and other modifications. Petitioners in learning resources and respondents in VOS selections filed suit alleging that IEPA does not authorize the reciprocal or drug trafficking tariffs. Petitioner, meaning Learning Resources, are the one who filed the case, and I'm guessing a respondent is somebody who can join the case if they wish to do so. Although respondent usually means, no, respondent is the person who's usually the defense, right? What does VOS selections mean? Learning Resources, Inc. et al., so other parties versus Trump, President of the United States, et al. Respond to the appeal. Oh, okay. And respondents and VOS selections filed suit. Respondent is the person that didn't appeal the case. Okay. What is VOS selections then in this case? Fuck, I have a talk in like 7 minutes. Oh, I'm not going to get to watch this. Hold on. This is a wine people? Okay, I assume they were against the tariffs then. They filed suit alongside these people or joined them or something. Does not authorize reciprocal or drug trafficking tariffs. The Learning Resources plaintiffs, 2 small businesses sued in the United States District Court for the District of Columbia. That court denied the government's motion to transfer the case to the United States Court of International Trade. And granted the plaintiff's motion for a preliminary injunction, and concluding that IEPA did not grant the president the power to impose tariffs. The VOS selections plaintiffs, 5 small businesses in 12 states, sued in the CIT, the Court of International Trade. That court granted summary judgment for the plaintiffs, and the federal court, or the federal circuit, sitting en banc, I don't know what that means, en banc, affirmed in relevant part, concluding that IEPA's grant of authority to regulate importation did not authorize the challenged tariffs, which are unbounded in scope, amount, and duration. The government filed a petition for certiorari in VOS selections, and the Learning Resources plaintiffs filed a petition for certiorari before judgment. The court granted the petitions and consolidated the cases. So these were 2 separate cases. They both filed a petition to have the Supreme Court hear the case. The Supreme Court accepted both and then combined the cases. IEPA does not authorize the president to impose tariffs. The judgment in this other case is vacated and the case is remanded with instructions to dismiss for lack of jurisdiction. The judgment in this is affirmed. Okay. Article 1, Section 8 of the Constitution specifies that the Congress shall have power to lay and collect taxes, duties, imposts, and excises. The framers recognized the unique importance of this taxing power, a power which very clearly concludes the power to impose tariffs. And they gave Congress alone access to the pockets of the people. The framers did not vest any part of the taxing power in the executive branch. The government thus concedes that the president enjoys no inherent authority to impose tariffs during peacetime and instead relies exclusively on IEPA to defend the challenged tariffs. It reads the words regulate and importation to effect a sweeping delegation of Congress's power to set tariff policy, authorizing the president to impose tariffs of unlimited amount and duration on any product from any country. The court has long expressed reluctance to read into ambiguous statutory text extraordinary delegations of Congress's power. In several cases described as involving major questions, the court has reasoned that both separation of powers principles and a practical understanding of legislative intent suggest Congress would not have delegated highly consequential power through ambiguous language. These considerations apply with particular force where, as here, the purported delegation involves the core congressional power of the purse. Congressional practice confirms as much. When Congress has delegated its tariff powers, it has done so in explicit terms and subject to strict limits. This major questions thing basically means that, like, if there is some ambiguous statutory text, so ambiguous text in a law, you can't interpret this to mean some crazy shit. Like, the major questions doctrine is basically like saying we're not doing Redditor arguments here. So let's say that there was a law passed that gave Congress the ability to regulate carbon, and let's say that a president came into office and the president said, we're actually going to make it so that people aren't allowed to exercise anymore. And then it's like, what do you mean? It's like, well, we actually realize that we can regulate carbon, and people are carbon-based life forms, so we should be able to regulate humans. And it's like, even if a strict reading of the text might somehow get you there because they were ambiguous enough when they used the word carbon, Congress clearly would not have delegated such an insane amount of authority to the president with ambiguous language. This would be clearly stated in the law. So the major questions doctrine is basically saying you can't have a federal rule, the president, the executive branch, taking some piece of law from Congress and creating a rule that seems to be very far outside the scope of what they were originally looking to do. And it sounds like in this, they're basically going to lay out the argument for why IEPA was not here to give the president the ability to do economic tariff policy. This is the thing I've said for years.
Isn't this the whole Trump administration at this point?
Kind of, yeah. But especially with regards to economic stuff, the president can't start creating taxes and creating economic policy on its own based on an ambiguous reading from like an emergency powers act. Is a little bit ridiculous. It sounds like that's the argument they're going to make. Against that backdrop of clear and limited delegations, the government reads AIPA to give the president power to unilaterally impose unbounded tariffs and change them at will. That view would represent a transformative expansion of the president's authority over tariff policy. It is also telling that in AIPA's half-century of existence, no president has invoked the statute to impose any tariffs, let alone tariffs of this magnitude and scope. That lack of historical precedent, coupled with the breadth of authority that the president now claims, suggests that the tariffs extend beyond the president's legitimate reach. The economic and political significance of the authority of the president has asserted likewise provides a reason to hesitate before concluding that Congress meant to confer such authority. The stakes here dwarf those of other major questions cases, and is in those cases a reasonable interpreter would not expect Congress to pawn such a big-time policy call off to another branch.
We're still getting them, and we will after the decision. I guess there's nobody left to appeal to. But again, those three people, such respect. I've had a lot of respect for them anyway, but such great respect. But other alternatives will now be used to replace the ones that the court incorrectly rejected. We have alternatives, great alternatives. Could be more money. We'll take in more money, and we'll be a lot stronger for it. We're taking in hundreds of billions of dollars. We'll continue to do so.
Jesus.
To show you how ridiculous the opinion is, however, the court said that I'm not allowed to charge even $1. I can't charge $1. Can't charge $1. I would have used 1 penny, but we don't make the pennies anymore. We save money. Can't charge.
Why do this now? Why not a year ago? Did it take this long to deliberate? Well, the court cases had to make their way through it all the way to the Supreme Court, so yeah.
$1 to any country under AIPA. Not $1. I assume to protect other countries. This must have been done to protect those other countries, certainly not the United States of America, which they should be interested in protecting. That's what they're supposed to be protecting. But I am allowed to cut off any and all trade or business with that same country. In other words, I can destroy the trade. I can destroy the country. I'm even allowed to impose a foreign country-destroying embargo. I can embargo. I can do anything I want, but I can't charge $1.
Something like different powers belong in different parts of the government. I know it's never going to happen, but it would have been good just once to hear this POTUS say, of course I'm disappointed with the tariff decision, but one of the things that makes America great is our system of checks and balances and the independence of our highest court. Jesus Christ. What? Why? What is this? Impossible Trinity. In international economics and international political economy, the impossible Trinity, also known as the trilemma, the monetary trilemma, or the unholy trinity. Damn, what economics classes were these? The unholy trinity is the view that it is impossible to have all three of the following at the same time: a fixed foreign exchange rate, free capital movement, and independent monetary policy. It is both a hypothesis based on the uncovered interest rate parity condition and a finding from empirical studies where governments have tried to simultaneously pursue all three goals have failed. Reviewing Trump's other pathways for imposing tariffs: Section 232, National Security; Section 301, Unfair Trade Practices; Section 122, Balance of Payments Authority; Section 338, Response to Foreign Discrimination; Section 201, Imports Threaten Domestic Industry; and Section 891, Retaliatory Tax. Oh, while technically true, the distinction is that these other laws are much smaller in scope, take far longer, and require a justification to a different independent body. That's an important one. I don't know what the different independent body is, but Destiny. Georgia Election Board found Elon illegally sent pre-filled absentee ballots in 2024 to multiple counties through his $250 million PAC. Wait, what? Hold on. Destiny, could you ground that out with an example? Ground what out? Is this Sapphire Dust Person in YouTube chat? Is this a schizo? Elon Musk founded PAC reprimanded by Georgia State Election Board for sending pre-filled absentee ballot applications in 2024. Uh-oh. They received a letter of reprimand. They sent out pre-filled applications for shouldn't do it. But this, I was wondering if this is like they sent out like a ballot that was already filled out and just asked you to sign it or something. But it sounds like they were sending out applications in order to apply to do a mail-in ballot, but they pre-filled these. So maybe not as good, but it doesn't seem like a huge deal.
Because that's not what it says. And that's not the way it even reads.
One sec.
I can do anything I want to do to them, but I can't charge Any money. So I'm allowed
Pesky
to destroy
rules.
the country, but I can't charge them a little fee. I could give them a little 2-cent fee, but I cannot charge under any circumstances. I cannot charge them anything. Think of that. How ridiculous is that? I'm allowed to embargo them. I'm allowed to tell them you can't do business in the United States anymore. We want you out of here. But if I want to charge them $10, I can't do that. It's incorrect. Their decision's incorrect. But it doesn't matter because we have very powerful alternatives that have been approved by this decision. You know, they've been approved by the decision for those that thought they had us. And they're saying that I have the absolute right to license, but not the right to charge a license fee. So think of that. I have the right to license, which is a very powerful word. In many ways, license is more powerful than tariffs. In fact, I was thinking about using it. But they came up with the idea that I can license, just like the people that were opposing me told them to do, but not the right to charge a license fee. Think of that. Who ever heard of such a thing? What license has ever been issued without the right to charge a fee? You get a license, you charge a fee.
This is the one, the Solicitor General tried this argument in front of the Supreme Court when they were doing oral arguments for this.
It's automatic, but not with this court. But now the court has given me the unquestioned right to ban all sorts of things from coming into our country, to destroy foreign countries. But a much more powerful right than many people ever thought we even had, but not the right to charge a fee. How crazy is that? Our country is the hottest country
ever been.
anywhere in the world right now.
This place was dead under
And it was
Biden.
a dead country
It was a
1.5
dead
years
country.
ago
Yep.
under an incompetent
Yep.
president. But now I'm going to go in a different direction, probably the direction that
$18 trillion of investment, by the way.
Should've
18
gone
trillion. The first term.
time, but
Yeah.
I read the language. I'm very good at reading language, and it read our way 100%. But now I'll go the way I could have gone originally, which is even stronger than our original choice. As Justice Kavanaugh, whose stock has gone so up, you have to see, I'm so proud of him, wrote in his dissent, although I firmly disagree with the court's holding today, the decision might not substantially constrain a president's ability to order tariffs going forward. So, think of that. The decision might not substantially constrain. And it doesn't, he's right. In fact, I can charge much more than I was charging. So I'm going to just start. Although I firmly disagree with the court's holding today, the decision might not substantially constrain a president's ability to order tariffs going forward. That's because numerous other federal statutes, which is so true, authorize the president to impose tariffs and might justify most, if not all, of the tariffs issued in this case. Even more tariffs, actually. Those statutes include, think of that, those statutes include, for example, the Trade Expansion Act of 1962, Section 232. All of these things I know so well. The Trade Act of 1974, Sections 122, 201, 301. And the Tariff Act of 1930, Section 338, all clear. But it's a little bit longer process. I thought I'd make things simple, but they didn't let us do that. I would like to thank Justice Kavanaugh for frankly, his genius and his great ability.
Yeah.
Very proud of that appointment. In actuality, while I am sure that they did not mean to do so, the Supreme Court's decision today made a president's ability to both regulate trade and impose tariffs more powerful and more crystal clear rather than less. I don't think they meant that. I'm sure they didn't. It's terrible. And to think that the Democrats who oppose this only because they want to go the opposite way, they'd like to pack the court. They want to put on 21 people. They want to pack the court, pack the Supreme Court. Maybe they should do it. Maybe they would be better off if they did it. They want to pack the court. They want to do anything to hurt our country. There will no longer be any doubt, and the income coming in and the protection of our companies and country will actually increase because of this decision. I don't think the court meant that, but it's the way it is. based on long-standing law and hundreds of victories, and even, as I was pointed out before, even thousands of victories over the years. To the contrary, the Supreme Court did not overrule tariffs. They merely overruled a particular use of IEEPA tariffs. And essentially, it's used to get a fee. I can do anything I want with IEEPA, anything. I just can't charge anybody for it. I can license, I just can't charge them. It's ridiculous, but it's okay because we have other ways, numerous other ways. The ability to block, embargo, restrict, license, or impose any other condition on a foreign country's ability to conduct trade with the United States under IEEPA has been fully confirmed by this decision. So now there's no doubt, because, you know, there were a lot of questions about tariffs because no president was smart enough to use them to protect our country from those countries and businesses that were ripping us off. You took a look at the deficits that we had with some of these countries. It was disgraceful what they got away with for many, many decades. But now we know, because this decision affirms all those things that some people weren't sure about. In order to protect, and it says so, in order to protect our country, a president can actually charge more tariffs than I was charging in the past period of a year under the various tariff authorities. So we can use other of the statutes, other of the tariff authorities, which have also been confirmed and are fully allowed. Therefore, effective immediately, all national security tariffs under Section 232 and existing Section 301 tariffs, they're existing, they're there, remain in place, fully in place, and in full force and effect. Today, I will sign an order to impose a 10% global tariff under Section 122.
Okay,
over and above
wow, nice.
our normal tariffs already being charged.
Wow.
And we're also
Awesome.
initiating several Section 301 and other investigations to protect our country from unfair trading practices of other countries and companies. Thank you for your attention to this matter. And I say quite simply, which I've said for a long time, make America great again. And interestingly, we've already made it great, so I don't have to use that, but I don't think we'll ever give up on MAGA. MAGA is always going to be with us. If you have a few questions, you can let us know. But just to end, so we're going forward, we will be able to take in more money, and there'll no longer be doubt, because there was always doubt. I know the people that brought the lawsuit, and you know, they're sleazebags, major sleazebags, but I know them, and they're foreign country centric. They were sending things into our country, and the people representing them knew full well, but they were sending things into our country, and they were beneficial to other countries, but very, very bad for us. And I stopped it, and we'll just keep it going. So we have we have a totally firm decision now, and I don't think the court meant it, because the court doesn't show great spirit toward our country, in my opinion. A lot of bad decisions, but there are usually ways around it. This is something we could have done, as Justice Kavanaugh said, we could have done this originally, but we're doing it now, and the numbers could be far greater than the hundreds of billions we've already taken in. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, I'm very curious.
Thank
you so much, Mr. President. Justice Thomas and Alito, as you know, are the most conservative constitutional justices. Do you think that you'll get to appoint 2 more justices later this term with similar ideologies? And what type of vetting process will they go through to ensure the uphold?
I don't know, but they're great justices. That's all I can say. And I hope they're going to be around a long time. I hope they're going to stay healthy. They're great people. They're great. And Justice Alito, too, to add to the group. These are great men.
Right.
They're with a great love of our country and a great understanding of the law.
Mr. President, are you going to ask Congress to take additional action on tariffs now?
I don't need to. It's already been approved. I mean, I would ask Congress and probably get it. When people look at the real numbers, and you look at hundreds of billions of dollars that have come into our country. Yesterday, I was at a steel plant, as you know, and I went to a great place, great plant, great, wonderful people. And they were telling me, I said to them, you were there, a lot of the press in this room. Of course, I don't think this plane's big enough to take the press in this room, but a lot of the press right here. We're in Georgia. And
yes.
I said to the owner, I made a speech at
True. This is the type of like bullshit that we should do next time. Like, and then like, what do you even say to this as a conservative? What's your defense? Like, oh my God, this would be such a great idea. It brings me no joy to say this, but given the president's shocking announcement that the Supreme Court is comprised by foreign interests or compromised by foreign interests, the next president will have no choice but to replace all 9 members with new justices who have no foreign entanglement. You should just do it.
True.
Unironically, just do that. Yeah.
Are you pro packing court?
In a way, yes. Yeah. In a way.
What do you mean in a way?
As in, I think you should expand the court to have like 26 justices or something, and then make it so you get so many per presidential term. And then since you've expanded the court in that way, we would nominate the next 13 or whatever to make it.
And then you start cycling out?
Yeah.
Okay.
factory. They make steel products. And I said, how are you? Nice to meet you. How's business? President, I'd love to kiss you. This is a very powerful man. I don't want to be kissed by that man, but a very powerful, strong man. He's been in the steel business for many years. His father started it. And he said, sir, I want to kiss you. I said, why? He said, because we were down to working 1 hour a week, and then you came in and imposed tariffs, and all of that foreign junk that they were dropping into our country stopped. And we're now going to double shifts 7 days a week, and we may be very soon going to 24 hours around the clock, almost 7 days a week. He said, sir, I want to kiss you so badly. And I said, no, thank you. But you know what? He just to finalize it, he said, oh, this is a great place in Georgia. He said, all up and down the highway. Same exact answer, sir. We're all going out of business. We're going to go bankrupt. We're all going out of business. And now every one of us are thriving, and we're hiring people like we haven't. He said, like I've never.
Doesn't that just make them shitty business owners?
No.
45 years, like we've never hired before.
Supposedly some big Ford plant just shut down.
Oh, I think I heard about that. Was that in Georgia?
In Kentucky, people blame Ford more than Trump for lost factory jobs. Ford Motors shut down a battery factory and laid off 1,600 workers after President Trump. Republicans gutted government support for electric vehicles. RIP.
I will say, I remember when I think it was the GMC facility in Ohio shut down in our area. Dude, people were fucked. Like, that was like such a huge local thing where like so many fucking factory jobs died.
Yeah.
And I just remember being in school and people were like, yeah, my dad lost his job. And I was like,
RIP.
That's because of tariffs, and we're going to keep it going the same way. And you're going to start to see the results in a year from now when all those factories that are under construction right now. You see all the construction numbers are so good. Those construction workers are building factories that are going to be open, including not only AI, which is big, but car plants coming in from Canada, who ripped us off for 30% of our market. Mexico ripped us off for a big portion. Over the years, they've taken our market. They've taken our cars. They manufacture them in Japan, Germany, and all over the place because nobody standing in this position, the position I have as president of the United States, had the insight, the courage, I don't know what it is, to charge tariffs. You can make your product outside. You can put our people out of business. You can put everybody on the unemployment rolls. But if you're going to make a car in some other country, you're going to pay a 15, 20, 30% tariff. And those things would have never happened. We wouldn't have lost our business. Same thing with, as an example, Taiwan. Taiwan came in. They stole our chip business. They make chips. For 30 years longer, they made chip. And they put our companies, Intel.
Chip.
Be now the largest company. I saved Intel. I literally
That feel when Taiwan making chip.
saved it at the beginning of this administration. And now all those companies in Taiwan are building factories in Arizona, Texas, and various other places because they don't want to pay tariffs. They're all pouring into the United States. But just like that great patriot said yesterday.
Well, nothing he says is true. Or it'll be true in a very
I just
abstract
feel like
way.
every fucking time we have to like listen to one of these goddamn speeches, he just says like 98% bullshit.
Yep, it is, yeah. But they love it. It's pretty annoying, yeah.
Today, sir, what you've done, nobody thought was possible. And Steve Moore, a highly respected economist, came into my office yesterday. He said, you've done something nobody's ever done. 22 Nobel Prize winners in economics said we would right now be in a recession. And you said, no, we're going to have a booming country. We're going to have a booming country. You were right. All 22 were wrong, and you were right. This country is booming, and it's booming because of the election on November 5th, and it's booming for another reason. It's booming because of tariffs. Yeah, please, go ahead.
What will you say ahead of this decision that if the Supreme Court
please,
rules?
go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. President. What will you say to foreign nations who seek to renegotiate their deals? And what did you mean a moment ago when you said that the Supreme Court has been swayed by foreign interests?
Well, I think that foreign interests are represented by people that I believe have undue influence, have a lot of influence over the Supreme Court, whether it's through fear or respect or friendships, I don't know. But I know some of the people that were involved on the other side, and I don't like them. I think they're real slime balls. And got to do what's right for the country. You got to do what's right for the Constitution. That's why I respect so much Justice Thomas and Alito, Kavanaugh, because they not only dissented, their dissent is so strong. When you read their dissent, a lot of times you'll read a dissent and it's like, well, you don't know, it could go either way. There's no other way. The good news is, it's like Justice Kavanaugh said, very strongly said, you have other ways you can go. You don't have to go that way. You can go other way. There are numerous other ways you can go. And frankly, this should have been done by presidents many years ago. They allowed our country to be eaten alive. We lost 50% of our car business. We used to make cars. We made all the cars. And then Mexico came, Canada came, Japan and Germany. But they're all coming back now. They're all coming back at record levels. No, please. I'm not talking to you. I'm talking. I don't talk to CNN. It's fake news. Go ahead.
Mr. President, yesterday you made the case that the economy is the hottest.
Like, bruh. What? Okay.
It's been in a long time. January jobs report beat expectations, CPI report beat expectations, real wages are up. What would you tell Americans who are worried that this decision will kind of throw the economy that you have projected going in the right direction at a very rapid pace off track?
Well, thank you for the question. And I will say this. We really are at a very important point. I've been waiting for this decision so long. They could have made this decision a long time ago. Not complex. They're wrong on it. It's a ridiculous decision. But they should have released this a long time ago. We waited months. And that gave uncertainty. Now we have certainty. And I think you're going to see the country get much stronger because of it. Look, we were ripped off by almost every country in the world. If you look at the surpluses, almost every country in the world that did business with us, our people were stupid. And I blame presidents for it because they're ultimately the leader. We were being ripped off by almost every single country in the world had some massive surpluses. China had hundreds of billions of dollars in surpluses with the United States. They rebuilt China. They rebuilt the army. We built China's army by allowing that to happen. I have a great relationship with President Xi, but he respects our country now. Know what we've done? I charged China a 20% tariff as a penalty for sending fentanyl in. And that was 20 times more than they could make by selling fentanyl. And I said, at some point you're going to say, and they have reduced it. Fentanyl is down by more than 30% coming into our country. Part of that is our strong border. We have a strong border now. But thank you.
By the way, the inflation rate is higher than was projected, which he says the tariff is supposed to fucking remedy. So he's just fucking wrong.
Yeah, I'm not even sure if you would expect tariffs to decrease inflation, because tariffs are going to increase the costs of almost everything. So, I don't know why we would ever expect it to be the other way. Yeah.
Also, GDP.
Mr. President, sir, you warned once in a...
Sorry, wait, what did you say?
GDP was supposed to be 3.4, and I think it ended up being 2 point something. So he's kind of cooked.
But thank you for your question.
Mr. President, sir, you warned once in a social media post that if the Supreme Court did this, shot down your tariffs, the U.S. would be, quote, financially defenseless. Are we financially defenseless
No,
right now?
because we're doing something in a different way. We're doing something in a very powerful way. And we're using things that some people thought we should have used in the first place. But it's more complicated. It's a little more complicated. The process takes a little more time. But the end result is going to get us more money. And I think it's going to be great. Yeah, please. Peter, go ahead.
Thank you, President Trump. So, since Liberation Day, there's about $175 billion in tariff revenue that is now in limbo. Do you have to refund $175 billion?
Thank you, Peter. Very fair question. They take months and months to write an opinion. And they don't even discuss that point. We've taken in hundreds of billions of dollars, not millions, hundreds of billions of dollars. And so I said, well, what happens to all the money that we took in? It wasn't discussed. Wouldn't you think they would have put one sentence in there saying that keep the money or don't keep the money, right? I guess it has to get litigated for the next 2 years. So they write this terrible, defective decision, totally defective. It's almost like not written by smart people. And what they do, they don't even talk about that. Your question is very basic. That was the first question I asked also to make you feel good. They say, what about all the money that we've taken in? Sir, they don't discuss that. How crazy is that?
It wasn't for them to
What you're
discuss.
saying is, are you saying that you don't plan to honor refunds for companies that file for them?
I just told you the answer, right? I told you the answer. It's not discussed. We'll end up being in court for the next 5 years.
Uh-oh, 5 years. Wait, what?
Go ahead, Green.
Thank you, Mr. President. When you were talking about the relationship with countries that you have sought trade deals with, do you anticipate that they will seek to renegotiate those? What do you say to them? And do you view this as a potential undermining power for your
We're going
negotiations?
straight ahead with 10% straight across the board, which was the absolute right to do. And that's taking place. That's a lot of money coming into our country. And then during that period of about 5 months, we are doing the various investigations necessary to put fair tariffs or tariffs, period, on other countries. So we're doing that period, but we're immediately instituting the 10% provision, which we're allowed to do. And in the end, I think we're taking more money than we've taken in before.
Mr. President, you've used the tariff revenue to pay for a host of federal policies. You claim that they will pay for them. What happens?
Well, like the farmers. We took care of farmers. The farmers were mistreated by foreign countries very badly, very, very badly. And last week, I gave them $12 billion out of tariff money. We intend to, out of tariff money, because just so you understand, we have tariffs. We just have them in a different way. And now they've been confirmed by the Supreme Court of the United States. So there's no longer that question out there about tariffs. And we'll be taking in hundreds of billions of dollars. And countries that have treated us badly will have to pay a price for treating us badly. And countries that have been good to us will be treated very well. We just left the top person in a place called Vietnam, just left my office. Great gentleman, strong and smart. He said, I think this means you're allowed to charge us more tariffs than before. And Canada said to Jameson, I might want to say it, Jameson, but Canada said, I hope you win this decision, because if you don't win, you'll actually be allowed to charge us with a little additional work, higher tariffs. Jameson, you want to comment on that?
Yes, sir. So, to the President's point, we have a lot of tools out there. We have Section 122, which will be implemented today, will be signed today and implemented very shortly. We have Section 301 investigations, which are incredibly legally durable, where we can investigate and address unfair trading practices that have led to our huge trade deficit. And so you can look forward in the coming days and weeks to seeing all of that come out, and we're going to keep continuity in the program. We're going to keep addressing this so that the deficit can keep going down. That's the trend it has, and we can make America great again.
No.
Several of Republicans in Congress have supported this decision by the Supreme Court, and Hakeem Jeffries, the Democratic leader, has called
The deficit can keep going down. How much is the deficit even reduced by? It was like barely, right?
Was the deficit reduced? I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure he added to the deficit.
Deficit was
3.
reduced, but the debt was increased. So
Oh,
deficit
okay,
is just
okay.
how,
That's how much each month they're
So
or
in
each year they're
Our
using.
deficit for 2024, our budget shortfall was $1,816 billion. So
Yeah.
1.8. And in 2025, it was 1.775. I mean, like, it was a $40 million difference. No, $40 billion difference. So our deficit went down $40 billion. So instead of having to borrow 1.8 trillion, we had to borrow 1.78 trillion.
And where are we borrowing from? Other countries, right?
No. When we say borrowing, we just mean the Federal Reserve selling treasury bonds. So if you go to buy a treasury bond from it, yeah. So that's where the increase of the debt comes from.
Goes up, yeah.
Want to be king. Why wouldn't he doesn't even
Explain the difference. A deficit is just your budget shortfall. So imagine if this year, I had to take out a loan of $50,000. Next year I had to take out another $50,000 loan. My deficit, my spending shortfall, each year would be $50,000. My debt would be $100,000. Let's say next year I only had to borrow $40,000, right? Well, my deficit decreased. So because I was borrowing 50-50, then only 40, but my debt still increased another 40,000. So now I owe $140,000, right?
No, and I watched him the other day interview. The guy doesn't even know what a tariff is.
But there's been bipartisan criticism.
No, not bipartisan.
Of the tariffs.
Excuse me.
There's several
A few
Republicans
people.
have said that.
Yeah,
Well,
a
why
few people.
wouldn't you just work with Congress to come up with a plan?
I don't have to.
push tariffs
I have the
through?
right to
Yeah, imagine that. What if you actually just, do your fucking job and get your Republican majority Congress, by the way, to do your fucking job? Maybe.
It's not that shrimple, Steven.
It's not shrimple as, okay? I would have to actually do shit.
Why work with them when I could just do it myself?
Yeah,
Well, why wouldn't you just work with Congress to come up with a plan?
I don't have to.
push tariffs
I have the
through?
right to do tariffs, and I've always had the right to do tariffs, and it's all been approved by Congress, so there's no reason to do it. All we're doing is we're going through a little bit more complicated process, not complicated very much, but a little more complicated than what we had. We'll be able to take in tariffs, more tariffs, and the Congress people, and the
Voted
Congress.
down the Canadian tariffs last week.
Yeah,
There's been votes
you
in
know
the
why?
Senate against it.
Yeah, because we lost 2 Republicans or 3 Republicans because they're not good Republicans. What you don't say, you don't say that we got 215 votes.
You need 218 for something to
Yeah,
pass.
sure we do. We might have lost 3 votes. And what was the score on the Republican side? 215-3, right? But you don't say that. We have great unity. There's great unity in the Republican Party, and I hope everyone's going to vote Republican, because otherwise you won't have a country left. Because these people have been they are destroying our country. Please.
Mr. President, the 122 tariffs, that 10%, is that going to be for 150 days, or do you want to charge that indefinitely?
We have a right to do pretty much what we want to do, but we're going to charge it starting effectively. I think it's 3 days from now. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, you speak to a lot of factory workers, a lot of manufacturing workers. What does the Supreme Court ruling say? What's that message to those factory workers?
Well, I think the factory workers are happy because we're now telling them that they're going to look. The man I met with yesterday, who owned a factory, was out of business. He was out of business, and now he's employing 5 times. In fact, I walked in. He's got a brand new crane. I said, "How old is that crane?" We got it in December. He's allowed to write it off in 1 minute. The Great Big Beautiful Act gave no tax on tips, no tax on Social Security, no tax on overtime. He said this great big beautiful bill, frankly, has been the best thing that's ever happened for the workers of the.
I love how people are so happy with him anonymously citing randoms forever. Like, oh, I talked to a big business guy. I can't say who. Oh, I talked to this dude. I don't want to say who it was. Oh, I had a conversation with this guy. I'm not going to say who. So then he always has like these random fucking, probably bullshit, fake ass stories. It's so great.
Much more so than for rich people. The only thing it does for rich people, it allows them to hire a lot more people. But when I saw him, and then he said it's all up and down the line. This is a place in Georgia. All up and down, other factories doing different, not only steel products, different. He said every one of us was out of business. We could barely make it. Some of them were down to less than an hour a week. Think of it, 1 hour a week to make just a few little trinkets or whatever they make. Now they're going round the clock. I had it a month ago. I went to Michigan, went to Ford, and I met with Bill Ford, the head of Ford, and we were in one of the biggest plants, an original plant from the early 1900s, where, by the way, I might add this, it's not really relevant, but it's all relevant. Murders are down the lowest since 1900, around the time that he had this plan. That's 125 years. We have the lowest murder rate. Okay, and our crime is way down in the country. The factories that we're talking about, the people that we're talking about, they are so thrilled with Trump. So whether we charge IEPA tariffs or whether we charge tariffs under a different section, that's what we're going to be doing. There's no way we can lever. This is what happened to our country. This is why we owe $38 trillion, which we'll get rid of in pretty good course. We have a very incompetent Fed chairman who likes high interest rates. For political reasons, he likes them.
Yeah,
but,
good one.
We're going to have somebody very good. Interest rates should come down very substantially. I think we should pay the lowest interest rates on the planet. There should be no country, and we don't do that. We're number 38. This is just bad policy for a long period of time. But what's happened is we've made America strong again. We've made America great again. We should pay. As an example, the country of Switzerland, we were getting almost no tariffs from them. We had a $40 billion deficit. And the prime minister called me up. She said, but we are a small country, because I said we're going to raise it to 39% from nothing. That would have rendered them not very successful, as opposed to right now they're considered elite. But if we put a tariff, and I realized then, she said, but sir, we are a small country. I said, you're a small country with a big deficit. For us, you're making a lot of money off the United States. If
he's just
we do
rambling,
that,
by the way.
Yeah, it's just.
He's lost the plot.
Yeah.
We went from Bill Ford to Switzerland.
a lot of these elite countries, they're elite because we let them make so much money. And
I blame Trump for all of this. Like, I blame Trump for people like Hassan, right? Because this is like everything in politics is becoming. He sounds like Hassan, right? This is what I mean when Hassan sounds like Trump too. Like, it's just like it's just so.
Yeah, I was gonna bring up they should debate each other, and it
Yeah.
would literally. I don't know who would speak more.
Yeah.
It's whoever talks first, I guess.
I want them to do well, but I don't want them to do well on the backs of the American taxpayer. So I appreciate your question. I think it's reasonable.
President Trump, you said that you were disappointed with that, but were you surprised with this decision? What you felt when you?
I was surprised because I thought that what we did was number one, according to. I mean, I read the paragraphs. I read very well. Great comprehension.
Love
I
them.
read everything there is to read, and I said, we can't lose this case. But we can when judges are political, when they want to be politically correct, when they're catering to a group of people in D.C. Maybe I don't know what it is, because when you read it, there's no other interpretation. There is no other interpretation. But it's okay, because what has come out, I'll say it for the third time and maybe the last time in a while, is that we've taken the uncertainty of tariffs out, because we had uncertainty. We got sued by sleazebags, I know them well, that are very outside country, China-centric, but outside country-centric. And they're going to end up not doing as well as they did before. America was becoming really, really, what's wrong again? Hey, we have the strongest military. I rebuilt the military in the first term. We have the most powerful military. We make the best equipment. And even them, we could do much better. We have people that get paid a lot of money to manufacture Patriot missiles and javelins and all the different things. But when you want them, they're too slow. And we put them on notice, and they're going to make, our country is building a lot of things right now, and our country is doing really well. And we're going to keep it that way. The bottom line is that the word certainty is now in the equation. Every single thing I said today is guaranteed certainty. It's been tested, as Jameson said 1,000 times. Literally, I said hundreds of times. He said, sir, actually thousands of times, and won in all of the courts. And we're just going back to that. And the problem is that we had other presidents that weren't into trade. Maybe they weren't business oriented. Maybe they weren't smart. We had some dummies too, I respectfully say we had some real dummies. So we are going to keep it going just as before, probably more so. But you're no longer going to be asked, every time I got up, you'd ask, well, what happens if you can't charge tariffs? Now we can. And by the way, in their decision, they specifically said, we can do these. We have alternatives. Yeah.
David, on the trade deals that were negotiated using IEEPA tariffs, do those stand now, or are they have to be redone?
Well, some of them stand. Many of them stand. Some of them won't, and they'll be replaced with the other tariffs.
Mr. President, the Supreme Court justices who ruled against this the policy, striking it down, are they still invited to your State of the Union next week? And will you speak with them?
They are invited. Barely. 3 are happily invited. No, they're barely invited. Honestly, I couldn't care less if they come. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. President. On the trade deal, which is the framework which is to be signed with India sometime soon, will that stand now? And on the decision, nothing changes.
No, nothing changes. They'll be paying tariffs, and we will not be paying tariffs.
Are dissenting opinions considered case law? No. The law that's made is just the holding, is what you would call it. People can write dissents on it, and maybe those, but that's not the opinion of the court. Is the holding, is the legal determination of the court. That's it. Yeah. Related to the case itself.
Our deal with India is they pay tariffs. This is a reversal from what it used to be, as you know. India, I think Prime Minister Modi is a great gentleman, a great man, actually, but he was much smarter than the people that he was against in terms of the United States. He was ripping us off in India. So we made a deal with India, and it's a fair deal now, and we are not paying tariffs to them, and they are paying tariffs. We did a little flip.
Are up as of now for this, Mr. President?
No, the India deal is on.
Thank you so much, Mr. President.
All the deals are on. We're just going to do it differently.
Mr. President, thank you so much, Mr. President. I think there's another war that you saw that you should take the credit, which is in Syria. Secretary Rubio, after his meeting in Munich with the Syrian Foreign Minister and the Kurdish General Muslim Abdi, he said that President Trump was directly involved in efforts to stop the fighting between the Kurds and the Syrians. How will your administration make sure that this peace is sustained? And do you support the idea?
Well, it's a very different topic, so I don't want to spend a lot of time. But all I can say is that the president of Syria, who I essentially put there, is doing a phenomenal job. He's a rough guy. He's not a choir boy. A choir boy couldn't do it. But Syria is coming together, really coming together well. And thus far, he's been very good to the Kurds. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. President, what's your message to the Iranian people after 2 rounds of talks with them? Do you have any message to the Iranian people?
The Iranian people in Iran or people here?
People in Iran.
They better negotiate a fair deal. The people of Iran are a lot different than the leaders of Iran. And it's very, very, very sad situation. But 32,000 people were killed over a relatively short period of time. They were going to hang 800 2 weeks ago. Hang, some by crane. They lift them up with a tall crane, and they play them around the square. They were going to hang 837 people. And I gave them the word, if you hang one person, even one person, that you're going to be hit right then and there. I wasn't waiting 2 weeks and negotiating. And they gave up the hanging. They didn't hang 837. Supposedly, they didn't hang anybody. But no, I feel very badly for the people around. They've lived in hell. Please.
President, you mentioned multiple times foreign influence over the Supreme Court. Do you have evidence of that? And if not, will you investigate that?
You're going to find out.
What alternatives are
you
you putting in
define
place
that?
in your relationship with Europe, and also those tariffs that has been called illegal? How they're going to go impact the relationship with Russia that you sanctioned?
Well, I
some
want Europe to
countries?
strengthen up. Europe has gone woke. Europe is not recognizable when you go into so many places. Not all countries. You look at Hungary. You look at.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Poland,
oh my God.
Czech.
Yeah.
Slovakia. There are some countries that have gone very
Are
much
these
the
people
opposite.
who joined the
some
peace
and some
board?
others. But
No,
Europe
he's talking
has to be
about
strong
people with
and-
far right
and become
leadership for
soft.
Hungary. I don't know
Not
what's going on in Poland right
recognizable.
now,
You go
but
into some
I know
of the
they're.
countries. I don't want to be specific, but I think everyone knows what I'm talking about.
I know white nationalists
And,
like them. I don't know what's
they're
going
not
on in Poland.
recognizable. They become the environmentalists have taken over. They've got windmills destroying their fields and their beautiful meadows and their oceans, and they're paying a fortune.
Do you know why he's obsessed
Europe
with
has to get
windmills?
smart. Europe's getting killed in two things.
He just hates all green energy because he thinks it's fake and lame. Like that's it. There's no.
I learned today it was because he got mad over
No,
Scottish,
people
like,
say
golf course or whatever.
Yeah, people
Is that
say
not
this
it?
shit. I don't think that's it. I think he just
don't
I
think
think that
so?
he just hates all green energy because he thinks it's like weak and loserish. I think that's it.
Just hates energy.
Energy and immigration. And if they don't solve both of them fast, Europe is not the same place. Yeah, please.
Justices Gorsuch and Barrett, are you surprised in particular by their decision today?
I
And
am.
do you regret nominating them?
I don't want to say whether or not I regret. I think their decision was terrible. Yeah. I think it's an embarrassment to their families. You want to know the truth? The two of them. Yeah.
An embarrassment to their families.
I didn't call you. I didn't call you.
Yeah, Mr. President, to be clear, do you believe at the end of implementing these new tariff tools, the tariff rate and tariffs will ultimately be higher than they currently are?
Potentially higher. It depends, whatever we want them to be. But we want them to be fair for other countries. And, we have some countries that have treated us really badly for years. And it's going to be high for them. And we have other countries that have been very good, and it's going to be very reasonable for them. Yeah.
Specifically on the tariffs question, on the $2,000.
I didn't call you.
Mr. President, thank you, Mr. President. Do you have any plans to travel to India for the Quad Summit, and how do you think your relationship with India is right now?
I think my relationship with India is fantastic. And we're
India
doing trade
number
with
one.
India. India pulled out of Russia. India was getting its oil from Russia, right? And they pulled way back at my request because we want to settle that horrible war where 25,000 people are dying every month. And my relationship with Prime Minister Modi is, I would say, great. I also stopped the war between India and Pakistan, as you know. There were 10 planes we shot down. That war was going and probably going nuclear. And
Wait, I'm sorry. What? Did I miss this? When did the U.S. shoot down 10 planes over India? Or what? Hello?
I think he's saying India and Pakistan, they shot down 10 planes or
Oh,
whatever.
oh. What, did they actually?
I didn't hear about the 10 planes.
relationship with Prime Minister Modi is, I would say, great. I also stopped the war between India and Pakistan, as you know. There were 10 planes we shot down. That war was going and probably going nuclear. And just yesterday, the Prime Minister of Pakistan said President Trump saved 35 million lives by getting them to stop. And I did it largely with tariffs. I said, look, you're going to fight, that's fine, but you're not going to do business with the United States, and you're going to pay a 200% tariff, each country. And they called up and they said, we have made peace. Okay? I just want to thank you all. Look, great certainty has been brought back to the economy of the United States and actually the economy of the world because we
Thank
generate so
God.
much in the world. We're the biggest in the world, and we're now the strongest by far. We were a country that was dead 1.5 years ago. Now we have the hottest country in the world. We're going to keep it that way. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Did you say 32,000 were killed in Iran, sir?
We're
He
still
doesn't
talking
give a
about Iran.
fuck. Who
That
cares
was
about
President
Iran?
Trump reacting to the Supreme Court.
What, does he think we're going to go to war?